Here we'll present a little information, a little background information regarding a Sotah. So a Sotah is a woman who acted in a manner that leads to reasonable suspicion that she transgressed the Isser Eishes Ish. So what are the specifics of Sotah? A Sotah is a woman whose husband warned her not to seclude herself with a certain man, and she did seclude herself with him. So the Torah rules that it is now forbidden for the husband and wife to remain married because we suspect that she did an Avera. However, the Torah here provides a solution, and that is that in order to allow them to remain married, the Torah offers the solution of the Sotah waters. There's an option over here to use the Sotah waters, where if the woman claims she did not do an Avera, she's able to drink the Sotah waters where they erase Hashem's name in it, and the whole process that's described in the Psukim. And she drinks these waters, and if she's innocent, nothing will happen to her, and if she's guilty, she will end up dying. That's the general information that we need for Sotah. So the whole idea of the Sotah waters are simply there in order for a woman who wants to prove her innocence. She's able to drink the Sotah waters. If she knows that she did an Avera and she's guilty, she could just simply say she's forbidden to her husband and go ahead and receive a divorce. Here we'll present terms that are going to be repeated many times on our daf, which are kinui, stira, and tuma, which they're translated to be kinui is warning, stira is seclusion, and tuma refers to the avera of isser eishes ish. And to elaborate a little bit, kinui refers to the husband warning his wife against secluding herself with a certain man. Stira refers to the wife having secluded herself with that man, and tuma refers to the wife having transgressed the isser eishes ish with that man. Here we'll present some background information, and that is the idea of Yibum and Chalitza. So the ruling of Yibum and Chalitza is that if a husband dies without having had any children with his wife, so the Torah rules that there is a bond between the wife and the husband's brothers. And this is because by the husband's death, his name ceases to exist. He has no continuation. He passed away, he had no offspring. His name comes to an end. Therefore, the Torah instructs that one of his brothers should marry the widow to continue his name. So he's doing it because he wants to be able to continue his brother's name. And in truth, actually, in general, it's forbidden for someone to marry his brother's wife, even after his brother passes away. This is a special exception which is made in order for the brother to now replace his brother and through this have children and continue his brother's name. So if the brother chooses to marry her, so if the brother marries her, it is called Yibum. And if he doesn't want to marry her, he must perform an act called Chalitza, which is explained what it is. It's brought down in the Torah. And the purpose is to sever their bond in order to permit her to remarry. Because since there's a bond between them, it's almost as if they're married to some degree, in a sense. And therefore that bond either is completed with Yibum or it has to be severed with Chalitza. Here we'll present a brief description of a halachic concept known as lechatchila and b'diavad, which is lechatchila means originally and b'diavad means when he already did it. So in halacha we often hear of lechatchila and b'diavad. What do each of them mean? So lechatchila, the literal translation of lechatchila, means originally. What does this mean in terms of halacha? Meaning this is what the Torah instructs a person to do. So the Torah is lechatchila telling a person what it is that he should or shouldn't do. Lechatchila, a person is instructed to do a certain act, or lechatchila, a person is instructed not to do a certain act. B'di'avad means, the translation is, when he already did it. B'di'avad, when or if he already did it, which would mean he didn't follow what was told lechatchila. The Torah instructed him to do something and he didn't, or he did it differently, or the Torah instructed not to do something and he did do it. So what is the relevance in halacha? So over here it's going to be b'di'avad. Now we're talking about meaning what the Torah instructs or rules a person should do if he already did something that doesn't fit with the original rule. So b'di'avad would be referring to what does the Torah now say? Does the Torah have an instruction now? What does the Torah rule? He already did something. What do we rule about that action that he did? Now one of the ways of framing this is in terms of gavra and chefza. So the lechatchila would be to the gavra. Originally, before anything was done, the Torah is instructing the person what to or what not to do. B'di'evid would be referring to the result of what the person did. So for example, we'll say lechatchila, originally, a person should not place milk into meat, even if it's a tiny amount, which will be batal. But b'di'evid, if it was already done, and not that this is the halacha, but if it was already done, then we may say, okay, now the issue is not what the person should or shouldn't do, it's about this dish. Is the dish permitted or is it forbidden? So this is just some general information in terms of lechatchila and b'di'evid, which is relevant. It will come up in our Gemara, in our Daf. Here we're going to present one of the 13 rules, one of the 13 principles, one of the shleish esra midus she'Torah nidreshes b'hem, and it's a hekesh. A hekesh means to compare. That's the translation of a hekesh. What is a hekesh? A hekesh is as follows. When two teachings are written near one another, whether in one pasuk or in two psukim, a hekesh teaches us to apply dinim from one teaching to the other. And there's a condition over here, and that is, the condition for a hekesh to be valid is that there is a tradition. There has to be a masoros to make this hekesh. There has to be that it was received in a masoros that this is a hekesh. However, it is not something that a person is able to create on their own. A person will notice that two things are written near one another in the Torah. They're not allowed to then say that this indicates that we have to apply the rules of one teaching to the other. Rather, it has to be that there is a tradition that this is a valid hekesh.